Hey everybody, hope you're all doing well. Just winding down practice for the first day here at Lake Hartwell for the Bassmaster Open. And I was thinking about the next YouTube topic I wanted to talk about, and what better topic to talk about than blueback herring here at one of the most famous blueback herring lakes in the United States, Lake Hartwell. So I just sort of wanted to sort of give, sort of a short little seminar on this blueback herring situation, because it seems like a lot of people, when they talk about blueback herring, they get intimidated by it, blueback herring lakes, and it's like there's this big mystery to what the fish do, and it's like I hear a lot from people, that get frustrated when they fish these blueback herring lakes. They just don't quite understand what the fish are doing. But this part of the country it's predominant that, the blueback herring. You've got Lake Lanier, you've got Hartwell, you've got Clark's Hill. A lot of these lakes in this particular area over here, have the blueback herring, which is sort of unique just to this part of the country. And there's some things that I've learned over the years about it that I can maybe sort of help simplify your approach to a little bit. First of all, the big key that you have to remember about blueback herring lakes is that it makes the fish roam a lot more. And for example, I'll take for example, if you're on a jerkbait pattern, back in Missouri, a lot of different parts of the country, even Texas, Tennessee, whatever, where you have primarily a threadfin and gizzard shad population, the fish that are offshore or off the bank or suspended, like if you're jerkbait fishing or football head or whatever like that, they tend to group up in little wolf packs and schools, and they'll stay put there for a lot of times. And a lot of times, on a threadfin or a gizzard shad lake, they're relating to structure, hard structure, a little bit more, breaks, drops, that type of stuff too. And not to say that they don't do it on a blueback herring lakes, but on a threadfin lake, those offshore fish tend to be a little bit more predictable because they hold on structure. On a blueback herring lake like Lake Hartwell here, the blueback herring are such open water roamers that those bass basically follow them. And to the bass in a blueback herring lake, the depth is pretty much irrelevant. The depth, and a lot of times, they will relate to cover, suspended timber tops. They'll get on breaks too at certain times. But for the most part, the mentality of those bass in a blueback herring lake are chasers and roamers. And they go out and they don't care if the water is 5 feet or if the water's 100 feet. It doesn't make any difference to them. They basically reside and follow and live around these blueback herring schools. And today, for example, I saw one, give you a good example. I was back in this pocket and the water was maybe 5 or 6 feet deep, and there was a school of blueback herring that, they were just cruising around. And I watched this one, about a 2-pound spotted bass, it was just swimming with the blueback herring school. And once in a while, it would charge it, come up through it and charge it. But the rest of the time it'd just go down, and that bass basically just followed that herring school all the time. And when it got hungry or felt the urge, it just went up and grabbed a couple of them. And and wherever those herring are going is where that bass is going to go too. So, and obviously, the herring, and like any other shad, they're going to basically, they're following the plankton, the microscopic, plant life, that type of stuff. So wherever that's going to be, that's where they're going to be at. But the thing that you have to realize in a blueback herring lake is that these bass that are normally structure oriented are not structure oriented. It's like they've evolved and they've morphed into be open water roamers, almost like stripers or white bass. A lot of the bass that you have in a blueback herring lake are very similar to stripers or hybrids or white bass, or they just, and they'll live with them too. They'll follow those white bass and they'll live in the same schools chasing those blueback herrings. But so a couple little tips I'll give you here is, primarily this happens on the lower end of the lake. When I'm talking about the herring chasers, most of the herring chasers live on the lower end, sometimes the mid part, but more is on the lower end of the lake, where the cleanest water in the lake is, and where the deepest water is, and where the most open water is, where you have the biggest actual acreage of water that's clear, which is usually on the lower end of the lake. And those herring, that's the type of habitat they like. That's the type of places in the lake that they like. So what you have in a blueback herring lake is you've got, what I like to divide it up in, is you got 3 different sections. You got the lower end, where there's the bass are heavily relating to blueback herring. Then you have the mid part of the lake that there's like, there's still some herring action going on there, but it's starting to dissipate a little bit because you know, the structure of the lake's changing, the water clarity's changing a little bit, and the habitat is not there like it is on the lower end of the lake. And then you have the upper end of the lake, where the blueback herring effect becomes much less, because you have, the water's a lot shallower, it's dirtier, the cover's set up different, the banks are set up different completely. So what this does is it gives you the opportunity to basically choose the part of the lake that you want to fish, whether you want to, you know, make the blueback herring part of your game plan or not. If you're one of those anglers that don't like, you know, chasing the blueback herring and fishing like that, you know, I would highly suggest, you know, looking for your stained water, looking for your river arms, looking for the upper creek sections. Even some creeks on the lower end of the lake, if you get far enough back in them, you'll have a little bit more stained water. And when you get in that type of water, into that little bit more stained water, a little bit more shallow water, those fish, they start to act more, what I call just normal, more, you know, crawfish, you know, threadfin shad oriented. You know, they get around, you know, objects, they get around, you know, targets, and it's a little bit more traditional fishing. And that's why, you know, depending upon the time of the year, you know, you can make that determination where you want to fish at. One of the things that I found out in blueback herring lakes, for the most part, is I don't really care for the mid part of the lake, because in the mid part of the lake, where you have that mix, things begin to change, and the blueback herring, the roaming mentality of the fish don't really exist. It seems like to me, in a lot of lakes around the country, there's sort of a dead area, which a lot of times is the mid part of the lake. And I'm not saying you can't catch them in the mid part of the lake, but for me, it's like I'm usually either fishing the lower end of the lake, totally focused on the blueback herring, or I'm fishing up the lake or up the creek in the dirty water. It's like there's no in between for me. So, and that's worked out pretty good for me, because one of the things that I like to do is I like to fish the blueback herring, you know, areas during the pre-spawn, early in the year during the pre-spawn. It seems like, you know, I can understand them a little bit better. You know, the herring are a little bit shallower. They don't roam quite as much. You know, they'll get in those guts and they'll get off points and they'll stay there a little bit more, and it's a little bit more predictable. But other than that, you know, the other time of the year, you know, I prefer fishing, you know, in the dirtier water if you can get away with it. Sometimes it's just not the deal. But here, like for example, like Lake Hartwell, you know, the fall is notorious for the lower end of the lake being really good for like topwater action. Those fish will come up busting out of points, you know, and you may not have anything at 10 o'clock, then you pull up in one point and you'll catch 15 or 20 pounds off of one point, off a school of busting blueback herring chasers. So that's what I've noticed here, like on Lake Hartwell in this tournament practice, is just a lot of people fishing lower into the lake looking for that same type of bite. But anyway, I just wanted to go over that a little bit more, and to sort of recap. It's like I said, blueback herring, you know, is very heavy on the lower end of the lake. It can be a hit and miss. It can be, you know, feast or famine if you choose to fish like that. If you want a little bit more stability, a little bit more consistently, go hunt your dirty water. You're not going to have those bass chasing out in the middle over 100 foot of water if you look for that dirty water. And that's what sort of worked for me. So anyway, hope you're all doing good. Like I said, hope you all, you know, enjoying the channel. I really appreciate, you know, you subscribing to the channel, and I'd invite you to if you haven't. And I'm making a video here here on Lake Hartwell for the Bassmaster Open for Fish the Moment. like we did at Rayburn. We're in the process of putting the Rayburn video together right now, and then we'll put this one together afterwards. So um, all the practice and all the tournament competition I have is going to be totally filmed this year. You'll be able to see it on Fish of the Moment videos. We're going to make probably a little bit longer videos with that. So Johnny's going to be putting together, and I'll keep you updated when it comes out, so you can sort of see what's going on here and sort of the thought process. So anyway, it's sort of neat because being able to sort of talk out loud what's going on in my mind as far as sharing how I'm approaching my practice and everything with y'all. It's sort of been fun, so I'll do that too, and hope you enjoy it too. So anyway, gonna get ready to get back in. Got some work to do tonight. Sun's just about ready to get down, and we'll get back tomorrow. Gonna have a short practice. Only got one more full day of practice, and then a half a day on Tuesday, and start the games on Wednesday. So talk to you later. See you.